Apparently, I'm just 6F to perfect for someone like him to 8M. Was this the best shutdown ever, or is he really that insecure? Plus update. 8 years ago, I was on a vacation on the other side of the world and met a guy from my town. There was this instant, intense connection. We agreed to go on a date the next day, but it never happened. Hours after we met, something terrible happened to him. I witnessed a friend die in a similar situation. Hearing what had happened triggered my PTSD so bad that I cut my vacation short and switched for flights to get back home ASAP. I didn't know if he was even alive and dreaded finding out, but he never left my mind. 1 year later, I finally dared to look him up on social media, and we reconnected. We chatted for months and then started hanging out early. We became very close friends. He was jumping from relationship to relationship. We both happened to be single at the same time some 3 years ago, and I caught feelings. At first, I thought it was just convenience. He was here, hot and single. By the time I realized I'm actually in love, he was already with someone else. 2 years ago, he was going through some hard times, lost his job. His girlfriend left him and he crashed at my place. He was in a terrible mental state, and I was his soundboard. All I could do was listen and make him hold on to the positive thoughts when he had one. I encouraged him to go back to his old hobby, and he started making pretty good living out of it. Now he's back to his old self, says he's happier than ever, and gives me full credit for pushing his life in the right direction. We kept living together 'cause it worked for us. We still do. We click very well, organically shared chores or shared. More on that later, and it's generally a lot of fun. He started changing. At first it was gradual, nothing huge or shocking, but it eventually picked up pace. It started with random compliments, then random hugs, and a month ago it went to full-on pampering. Few months ago I was hit by a drunk driver, had head trauma and several broken ribs. I spent weeks in the hospital, made full recovery, and he never left my sight. My nose was badly broken and I was going to get it fixed somewhere down the line, and he was begging me not to push that back. He has a facial scar from the incident 8 years ago, and he opened up about it for the first time. He had tons of repair treatments. Now it's barely noticeable, but at some point it was very bad, and he still sees it that way. It looks like a scratch on his chin and a slight discoloration on the side of his face, which you can't even see case he's always had longer hair, and he calls himself disfigured. He was begging me not to live with a disfigurement for a day longer than I have to. At first I thought he was projecting his insecurities on me, but he really opened up about how he felt when he woke up with a new face and knew he had to live life like that from that point on. I realized he has my best interest at heart. It was also the first time I realized how insecure he was. After my accident, those tiny signs of affection started escalating much faster. He works from home. I rent a studio and maintain a work schedule to avoid being lazy, and he started adjusting his schedule to mine. Before the accident, we would cook dinner together, go out, or order in. Maybe 2 to 3 times a month he would have dinner ready for me when I got home. For the past month, it's been every single day. The shopping is done, the pets are taken care of, and the house is spotless. He never lets me pay when we eat out. After dinner, we usually binge some show. His arm is always around me, and he constantly plays with my hair. He thanks me for saving his life, for being his friend, for being me. I started reciprocating, and when I cuddle up to him, he kisses the top of my head. Things like that. Cuddling with him is the highlight of my day, but I'm begging him to stop pampering me like that. He says I deserve it. Last night we were cuddled up as always. I raised my head and looked him in the eyes. It was a moment. I was going for a kiss, but instead got the best shutdown ever. He started talking like I'm some deity that should only be admired from afar. In a nutshell, I'm the perfect for someone like him. He saw where this was heading. Nope, he's not good enough for that. Took me some time to remember to blink, said I'm sorry he feels that way, and got up. I left early this morning, and I still haven't seen him. He texted me if I would want this or that for dinner. What exactly is his deal? Could he really be that insecure, or he's simply not interested? What is with all that pampering then? He could be happy I'm alive and made a full recovery, but he was making advances long before my accident. He was never a hugger or a yes mum. He started becoming one 2 years ago and only with me. Update. The next day I went to work. He pretended last night never happened. I was freaking out because I wanted to have the talk but didn't want to push it. Had the talk anyway and now we're together. We opened up about a lot of things. He had no idea why I ran away when I found out about the incident. He thought I knew about his injuries and didn't want him like that. I haven't spoken about my friend with anyone but a therapist. I finally told him and he understood. He said he was jumping from relationship to relationship to numb his feeling for me because he thought I would never be able to love him back. The night I tried to make the move, it was the kiss itself that freaked him out. Turns out that sexy cheeky slightly crooked smile is nerve damage, and an ex told him he's the worst kisser in the world. He's not. He's also brilliant in bed. In that one night we became closer than in the past 7 years, and I told him acting like my housewife, babysitter won't fly no more and he toned it down, but he still pampers me to an extent. Right now we're like teenagers, glued at the lips, making up for lost time. He was my best friend for so long and I know he's the one for me. This felt like a relationship for months before it even started. Now I got the good stuff on top of the perfect partnership we already had. So people, talk to your loved ones. We wasted years beating around the bush. Learn from our mistakes.